Before I actually start this video, I want to let you know that there are a lot of spoilers in it. I'm basically explaining the whole movie as well as my point of view about Poor Things. I made a mistake, you guys. I went to go see this movie with my mother. We had no idea what it was about. We knew Emma Stone was in it, so we watched it together in theaters. Oh my god. Before I even decided to go see the movie, I looked at some reviews about it, and those reviews would describe the film as poignant, riveting, groundbreaking. This movie received 93% Rotten Tomatoes. That's a big deal. The movie won so many awards. So my mom and I were like, okay, this should be a good ass movie. We're gonna see some good stuff. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna be thinking this is gonna be a good movie. But sadly, we were mistaken. This video is based on my opinion, and that is what we do with art. We create it, critique it, love it, and hate it. I don't hate the movie. I just was like, what the fuck? First, let's start off with the plot of the movie. I'm gonna read an official summary from People's Magazine before I explain it myself. The story follows Bella Baxter, a Victorian woman transplanted with an infant's brain who launches on an odyssey of sexual and intellectual self-discovery. Reborn again, Bella is quickly prompted to seek freedom and explore the world at an accelerated pace. When I first started the movie, Bella was just all over the place, throwing things. She was screaming, she was crying, she wasn't talking really. So I was like, oh, okay, she's slow. Or how I was taught to say it growing up, touched. But no, she wasn't touched. Turns out, before everything happened, she was a woman who was pregnant, who tried to commit self-assassination by jumping off of a bridge. She was pregnant, mind you. She jumped off a bridge and she basically died. God, he comes, cuts that child out of her in his lab, puts that child's head into her brain and takes out her adult brain. So her brain is replaced with her infant's brain. So she wakes up and she has the mind of an infant. So she's not slow, she's just a kid. What's the difference? All right. I was playing out. And during this whole process of her, living her life, trying to understand the world around her, God asked this guy to watch over her. And I just thought it was weird because not long after knowing her, God was like,
you want to marry her? You want her, don't you? Okay, bet. You got her.
I thought that was weird because she is the mind of a child and her God is just trying to marry her off. I know she's the body of a grown woman, but she's the mind of a child. It freaks me out. It made no sense to me that God was trying to marry Bella off, knowing what mental state she was in. Excuse me, he tried to marry her off knowing what underdeveloped mental state she was in. Because you know what that husband will want eventually. You know what I'm saying? She looks old enough, so it should be fine, right? No, I don't think so. Within the movie, we travel like all over the world. We start off in London where she was created. We kick it in Lisbon for a bit. We go crazy in Paris. We go to Athens or Alexandria. But let me tell you something that's so important right now. Throughout the whole film, there's so many scenes, so many. They would show all of it. It wasn't just dry humping on some covers. They had different positions. They had different type of men, different sounds, different preferences, whether if that involved physical restraint, watching, voyeurism, cuckmanship. It ranged. And mind you, that I saw all this with my mom. I was like looking over like, it'll be over soon. They showed everything. Butt, boobs, wee. They showed everything. I feel like there was so much in it that it felt like they were forcing it down my throat. Kind of like they just wanted an excuse to show on the big screen. And within the film, she's just truly, I guess, discovering herself through, but she's still a kid. But then she meets this lawyer who eventually becomes obsessed with her, and they do it 24/7. Montages. Emma Bella eventually started working in a brothel where she needed money. She would put her back into making that bread. So there was literally this one scene, Emma's standing in front of this man, and I'm like, okay, we already know what they're about to do. But then the dad looks over, talking to his 2 children who are in the corner of the room. His children are gonna watch him. He's gonna teach his children some things. He's doing Bella while his children are watching, and he's explaining everything. People still do that to this day, most likely. I don't want to see that. I just wanted to see a good story. But then it turned into this. Me watching Bella be bent over with 2 kids in the corner watching. I paid good money to see this film. Those kids were watching! The main reason why I wanted to see this movie was because so many people were saying how good it was. This movie touched me in a way nothing else could. There were a lot of slow parts. Like, for example, there was this one scene where it showed her legs for about 2 minutes. She was just writhing her legs. And during that 2-minute leg scene, I was just sitting there awkwardly eating my candy that I snuck in. I was pretty just disappointed in the film because I love weird movies. Midsommar, you know that movie? I really like that movie. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, that's a good movie. Pee Wee Herman, sure. One thing I thought that was strange about Poor Things was that Dafoe, his job was to like cut up dead bodies, and he was making experiments out of animals, which is fine, do you? But I just found it weird how he would nonchalantly talk about how his dad would torture him, how his dad put an iron to his genitals, how his dad like trapped his thumbs in this device to retardate his bones or something. I don't know if that was added into the film so we'd feel sorry for the professor. But back to the main character. When Bella was working in the brothel, she eventually made this friend. And I was like, okay, some hope. She's not alone. But then out of nowhere, the scene cuts to that said friend her out. How did that help the film in any way? How? But then again, I start thinking, maybe I'm thinking too hard about this. Maybe I'm being too literal about this film. Maybe I'm trying too hard to gather something to take away from this film. Yes, I am. But on a different note, I low-key can relate to Bella by trying to discover yourself through sexual exploration. I get it, but they shoved that down our throats. I just wasn't ready. But enough about the critical parts about the film. There were definitely some parts of the film that I liked, without a doubt. I'm not afraid to say it. Yeah, there were parts in the film that made me chuckle. Like just stuff that she said out of nowhere, honest things that we were all thinking, but would in real life be too afraid to say. She would say the most messed up stuff without any sugar added onto it. She'd be like, you know that guy I'm with, him over there, he packing. But she wouldn't say it like that. She'd say the specifics. And people would just stare at her like, oh, that was funny to me. One thing that you cannot deny about the film is that it had such nice cinematography. I mean, look at this scenery. Epic. They kept using this like fisheye lens that allowed the viewers to see different perspectives of the film. And another thing is I really appreciated the wardrobe. They call this film a period piece. I get it, but those outfits they were wearing, top notch. Beautiful colors. You could tell thought went into what they were wearing. And there was also this one scene where Bella was strolling through Lisbon after just sneaking out after she did her thing with that guy. And there was this woman on a balcony playing like this guitar of some sort, just singing. It was beautiful. When that lady said, I felt that. It was nice. It just took me out of all that crap that was happening just for a second, but then it went right back. It took me right into the bullshit. In the end, Bella finally goes back home. God is dying. She's like, oh shoot, that's too bad. She's about to get married to that guy who God set her up with, and then this other guy comes. He's like, nah, you were mine before all this. Before you killed yourself, you were mine. So you're gonna be with me. She was like, okay, sure. And then she does go with him, and she's just trying to figure out why she killed herself in the first place. And she quickly figures it out, and she's like, all right, I've seen enough. I'm gonna exit stage left. And he's like, no, what? He tries to take off her bean. Things go from one thing to another, and he's shot. She takes out his brain and replaces his brain with a goat. He's a man goat. But in the end, she escaped. God eventually dies, which is sad, but she escaped and she's chilling. She's happy. She's chilling with her friend who took her out the other day. She's chilling with this one guy who wanted her when she was a child mentally. She's chilling with that new goat that she just created. She's chilling. I looked up a lot of different articles that explained the deeper meaning of the film just to make sure I didn't miss any subliminal messaging or if I was just missing the whole point. The articles are basically saying that she was trying to discover the world around her. She did that mainly sexually. People were also saying that the film omits femininity. I don't know. I guess that's one way to show off femininity, that you could just do it with whoever you want. Sure, go ahead. Anything else? I'm just tired of seeing it. It's everywhere. At some point in the film, I was just trying to enjoy my complimentary cup that was made for water, but I filled it with Fanta without seeing Emma Stone bent over in every other scene. A lot of people really liked the film, and that's really good for them. I'm glad they could get something from it. I'm glad they could relate. I'm glad they just were able to see something that they liked. I don't know if a lot of people liked it because she was naked for a majority of the film. That's all I really feel like saying about the film. In the end, I could go without ever seeing it again. I'm happy that everyone involved, were able to get their recognition. I'm glad they had a good time. She seems pretty happy. They all seem pretty happy. Good. Like, I want them to be happy. I'm just telling my truth. I didn't like it. I didn't like Poor Things. I want to know what you guys thought about the movie in the comments down below. Good, bad. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. See ya.